Some of the videos, they are like 17, 18 or 25 minutes, and yeah, I try to keep them, like 8, 9 minutes. I think that is something that you know a normal attention span can handle. I live and study in London, UK, but I'm from Eastern Europe, in coming from Hungary, and 1st of May was a national holiday. So people who are having their channels in a Hungarian language, they talk about 1st of May and how it was before. In the English speaking channels nowadays, they talking about how they survived the recession that was in 2007, 8, 9. Hungarian channels, they talk about how 1st of May was before. And if you look at the most influential TV series of all time, on the top 10 you will find the TV series Chernobyl. For example, there was a big event, 1st of May. There were hundreds of thousands of people out in the street in 1986, and that was the time of Chernobyl. And it was not really in the news, so everyone went outside to celebrate 1st of May. And well, it ended badly for so many people because they just did not share the news properly. Obviously, back then it was a totally different system, how they lived their life, and it was where you couldn't say no. When it was an event like 1st of May, you needed to go, and you went with your colleagues from the factories, from the companies. Everybody needed to go, and it was the time of the Chernobyl, and there was a massive cloud above our country. And yeah, some extra information, because I'm not alone, my family is here, so yeah, they're giving me some extra information to give you, so you can imagine how it was 1st of May back in the 80s. So people went out in a big crowd. There was a big crowd walking on the main streets, and then they separated. They went to different groups. They knew where to go, and they got free beer and free sausage, for a lack of the better word, but basically free beer. That's always good. So basically beer and sausages, that was the motivation. And then there were big parks, squares, and they went there to party, after party. It's called Majális. So there's a TV personality in a Hungarian television. I never really cared for him. He's not interesting to me at all. But what happened is that he retired, and he thought that he gonna live in his family house, and it did not happen like that. So one day he walked to his garden. He put his mobile phone on the garden table, and he recorded his first video. And I saw that video when it came out, and he talked about how the experience. He shared his experience, how he feels about his life and the whole situation. Just few days before, he was getting his first payment as a pensioner, as a new pensioner, and he said that he doesn't even know how much money he gonna receive, if he can pay his bills, if he can continue with his lifestyle as he was living before. Obviously, he was a famous TV personality, so he was famous, but he said he doesn't really have much savings, and it was very interesting. It was basically a vlog post, and it was like super interesting to me. So since then, I'm following him. And actually, this is a trend. I've seen it in many other channels and TikToks, that people who are from a different country, different culture, they share what they see in their own language, because otherwise, we would never know about it. So I'm going to share what's going on in the Hungarian YouTube. So this guy is called, actually, this TV presenter who is retired now, but actually, because his YouTube channel became so famous, he actually returned to the TV screen. But he's sometimes he still, you know, post videos, and they are like super honest. It's incredible. And because he's a TV presenter, he started out as a journalist, a real journalist, and because of that, he shared his childhood and living conditions. And right now in London, I live in shared living. It means that I live with a bunch of strangers and we share the bills because it's cheaper, so I can spend money on other things like studying and travel. But back in the day, because this guy is newly retired, back in the day when he was younger, there was not really choice. So what happened is that in Budapest, in a very nice area, in a very nice district, where there were flats for the middle class, for the upper middle class. You know, we're talking about huge rooms with 4 meters tall rooms, 4.5 meter tall rooms. So these were like massive, like basically you don't even call it a living room, you call it a salon. And there were not one in the flat, but several of them. And there were obviously servants, and they had their own rooms and their own kitchen and own bathrooms as well. So after the war, what they did, that they chopped up these flats and they put 2, 3, even 4 families in one flat like this. So his family moved into one of these massive flats that was used to be occupied and owned by upper middle class people. Obviously they were from a different class. They had no choice in the matter, and they actually got, because they chopped up the flat, they got the nicest part of the flat. The other family, they got the servants room, and another family, they got the saloon and the nice balcony. But they were still happy, they were very lucky what they got. So this man who lived in the servants room was a little bit a troublemaker. Drinking issues, you know, medication, all that stuff. And many times he caused such a trouble, like putting glue in his lock so he couldn't open the door the next day, or he pushed his furniture front of his door so he couldn't leave, and he needed to go to work, and basically he phoned in that he cannot leave his house because his flatmate barricaded him. And I'm telling you this because this is not a phenomenon. So the guy called Dömsödi, and it's not his very special story. In Hungary, there are many actors and many TV presenters, and this is not really a well-paid job. And many times in many systems, in many decades after the war, it doesn't really matter. It didn't really matter what kind of money you had on your bank account, because it doesn't matter. You needed to ask for a car. Even if you had the money, you needed to ask for a car and wait for months to get it. And I like to go to different lectures and interviews, you know, when it basically like you buy a ticket for, I don't know, like £5 or £10, and you can meet famous people, and they are on the stage alone or maybe with someone, and you can ask questions from them, and you actually meeting them face to face. I used to go to these sort of events like all the time. So this story that I just shared, it's a very common one. There's another actor who plays in many classic Hungarian movies, and he shared the same story. After the war, he grew up in a flat that was chopped up by the local council, and they were living with different families. And in the flat where this actor lived, there was a wall with the switches for the lights, and the other families, the other flatmates, needed to go to his room to turn on the lights when they arrived home after work. In London, 1st of May is a bank holiday as well, but it's not really important. So what people do, especially the people from the older generation, they talk about how 1st of May was in, I don't know, like 50 years ago. And those stories are like super interesting to me.